A few months ago, I stepped away from normal life and spent 8 days in the jungle in Costa Rica. They were some of the most challenging days I think I've ever experienced in my life. And one of the things that I've come back now is to share it with the world. Now, if you're finding that you're struggling or you're looking for something, or maybe even just interested in the experience, then I've tried to condense those 8 days into an hour and a half. And I promise you, if you give it to the end of the video, if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them for you. But it was one hell of a ride, and I hope you're ready for it.
What first drew you to ayahuasca?
I've known about ayahuasca for about 6 years or something. And then more recently, I've been seeking to try and find purpose. And then I remembered ayahuasca and I started researching everything about it. And they say that when you're ready for it, you get a calling. And for me, that calling came. So that for me was where I'm starting to get into it, research, look at YouTube, see what it's all about, what happens. And that's what led me to start down the route of find out more about it.
And we'll go on to the preparations that you did leading up to it, the intentions that you set, and then talking about the setting and the atmosphere. What is it actually like to go through that experience and the experience itself, the journey that you actually go on when you're using ayahuasca as a medicine, and then I suppose the kind of insights and lessons that come from that. But I suppose leaning back onto the point you mentioned you're lacking purpose. Delve into that a little bit more. Like what problem have you tried to solve by doing ayahuasca?
Yeah, that's a great question. I started 2025, business is going well, everything's in the right frame of mind, and I'm then suddenly like get hit with this is my identity. I am living and breathing this business, but who am I anymore? And it's a really weird feeling when everything's meant to be in a good place and you look at your life and you think, this should be perfect. I should be happy. I should be grateful for everything that I've got. But then you just feel this emptiness. Like, what am I actually doing? What is my purpose? And that's when I started seeking out like counseling and just being like, takes back some layers. And then it started really helping. I was thinking, okay, this is good. I'm starting to understand myself because I really love to dig deep and find something inside me. And then that's when I started being like, I can't get any further. Counseling seemed to only take me so far. I started learning about why I act the certain ways I do, what trauma in the past has maybe triggered me to act certain ways, because we're all just big children that never really grew up, but have all the trauma that comes with us. And then I thought, I need to find something to really get to the root of this, because I still feel I started going on this massive journey of learning different skills. Like I learned how to bricklay, plaster, tile, started finding things around the house to do. And I was like, cool, this is great. I'm learning all these skills, but still it didn't come with any kind of real fulfillment. And I just felt like directionless. I was like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing in life? And that is the part that started making me seek out, there's got to be something more. I need to find something that makes me feel fulfilled.
I think most people listening to that would say, well, you looked externally for these answers. So the logical idea then would be to look internally. And yet that's a bit of a juxtaposition, because technically ayahuasca is a external medicine that you're ingesting, but it's the, I suppose, the internal insights that come from ayahuasca that solve that.
This is the thing, and that was probably one of my biggest problems, is I was looking so much everywhere else to give me the answer, and I wasn't looking inwards. But I'm so in it. I was so in the day-to-day life and the day-to-day pain that I didn't think to. Although I was looking inside, I'm like, why is this not working for me? Why am I not feeling this? Why can I not find the answer? And that kind of gets revealed in the ayahuasca journey. So you did 4 ceremonies, and the final one was the thing that shed the light on that exact question, was should you not be looking internally? Because I was looking externally.
And maybe we'll no doubt loop back to those insights in or later in the conversation. But I suppose then, considering ayahuasca, doing the research that I'm sure you've done, stuff that I've looked into out of curiosity as
Mm.
well, and there's, very, I'd say, consistent stories and feedback from people online that have gone through similar experiences to yourselves. But like me, as someone, I suppose, considering it, there's still a level of nerves and skepticism, and there's a lot of unknowns. And it seems like one of those things where you can only do it when you're fully ready. And yet at the same time, can you ever be fully ready?
Can you ever be fully ready for ayahuasca? That is that's such a funny point, because that is exactly what happened to me. So I remember I had the calling of like, oh, I'm gonna do ayahuasca, and then I looked at the dates that they had available for intake, and I researched the heck out of it. Like, where am I going to go? And I found loads of places, but then there was two that really stuck out from all the research I'd done, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go here. And their dates were someone in October and someone in November, and I went. It's funny because I spoke to their people on WhatsApp, and I said, these are the two dates I'm thinking of, and this is the location I'm drawn to. And she was like, just trust your intuition, but
Mm.
sit with those two dates and see which one you feel right for. And the first one was the October one. So I went to book it, but as I booked it, it was 2 weeks away at that point, and then something stopped me. Like, I read the waiver, and then there's a point in there that says, you agree that you basically may die if you do this. And I went to pay the money for the deposit, but then something completely stopped me. I
Mm.
thought, I don't know if this is right. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I was so sure. And then a few days later, my brother was talking to me, gave me a call. And he was saying about this. He was going through a breakup at the time, and he was so much in pain. And I said, well, look, I'm feeling like a lack of purpose. I'm trying to go for this retreat. They've got a few dates. Here they are. And he was like, that sounds like something I'd be interested in. And I was like, okay. I said, here's the dates. What do you think? And he said, I can do November, but I can't do October. And I was like, have a think about it. And a couple of days later, he said, yeah, I'll do the November with you. And I was like, right, that seals it. November it is. So we booked November either that day or a couple of days later. And that for me was kind of, as soon as you book it and you know that you're going, that's when things actually start to happen to you. And you
Oh
don't,
shit, it's real.
yeah, it does. It does. It really does. You think, there's no going back now. I've booked it. I've
Yeah.
paid the money, and I'm going to go, because you don't want to lose your deposit. But also you got to pay the full amount. And I was like, okay, well, we're going now, aren't we?
Mm.
Yeah.
And then talk me through then. So you paid,
Mhm.
the dates in the diary, and you're in the weeks, months leading up to it. What's going through your mind?
I'm watching still again, like dredging up as much as I can from YouTube, and I'm looking at what people's experiences, what they like, and everything was just making me feel so calm. And they give you like a platform that you can go through, and it gives you the insight of how you're going to deal with it, like the preparation, etc. So when I was doing the preparation, and I realized the reasons that I'm going to do this and what I can achieve by going through it, that's what made it go for me. This is so right for you. You are so ready. And about 2 weeks before, there was nothing I could watch. There was nothing I could listen to that would make me more ready. I was there in my head. I'm at peace now. I'm ready to go. And I was actually willing to die, because in that waiver it said, death may be an option.
Mm.
I actually wrote my will, and I was like, I'm ready for this. And if I pass away in the process, it's okay. I'm going to experience what I need to experience.
And there was no apprehension then in the lead up to that.
No, I was ready. Like, I just felt like I was sat there
Mm.
waiting, and that 2 weeks couldn't come quick enough. But I was like, I'm good. I'm ready.
And then there's quite a lot of preparation that you have to do in the weeks leading up. We've just spoken. Then you kind of went into it excited, ready, accepting of what the experience is going to be. Talk me through the kind of physical preparation that you have to go through leading up to the experience.
So they give you a long list of things that you actually can't do, and they follow the Shipibo tradition, which is a lineage that's been around for thousands of years, and they do it very aligned to that. So there's no pork for a month. you have to have no refined sugar for 2 weeks before, no sex 2 weeks before, no anything that is refined or man-made. And it's so funny. I thought, oh, I'm eating healthy. But then I saw on all the packaging, there's sugar in this, like in brown bread, sugar in it. Had to remove it. So I'm just eating oats, berries, fruit, and chicken, rice, plain chicken and rice. You're not
Mhm.
allowed seasoning, no spices, no paprika, no nothing. So this plain chicken with rice and veg was my main like meals. And I lost so much weight. I dropped like 5 kilograms in
Mm.
2 weeks. And I was like, well, it just shows you something, doesn't it, about what we eat and how our diet is at the moment.
Mm.
So, yeah.
So is there any other preparations beyond the diet?
Not particularly, other than just meditating daily to make sure that, because I imagined when you're in the ayahuasca experience, it could be pretty intense. So it's just keeping yourself grounded. So that was my mental preparation. I did that quite a lot. Just making sure that if I were to come up against some really terrible stuff, because I've heard people get dragged to hell. I've heard they
Mm.
fight the devil and then they get ripped apart. And I thought, if that happens to me, I want to be able to control the breath and bring myself to a calm pace.
Mm. I suppose many people listening, whether they're considered it or not considered it, that's always the headlines you hear, right? Is the someone using various forms of psychedelics or smoking marijuana and they get psychosis or they never come back. And like 100% that does happen to a portion of people. From my non-expert, limited researched opinion, often that will happen, was more likely to happen with those with pre-existing conditions, that then that may be the trigger that brings it out, or maybe it's something they've known about already. But again, that is part of the apprehensions that I imagine a lot of people experience going in, is what happens if I have a bad experience? What if something happens that's permanent? And I suppose you've spoken about how you've almost didn't have that apprehension and went in more of a level of acceptance.
Yeah. So actually, I did forget to mention you're not allowed any SSRIs. So
Mhm.
nothing that's to do with stabilizing your brain chemistry. You can't actually take any drugs, no paracetamol, no nothing for that month before, not even Imodium. So if you've got a bad stomach, you can't use that. Otherwise, it can cause psychosis. And a lot of people that report serotonin syndrome or a psychotic episode is generally because they haven't told the facilitators about that.
Mhm.
And that's the thing you want to avoid. So for me, it wasn't a big deal anyway. Just don't take it. But yeah, I was super accepting, super ready for it.
Mm. And then, so where did you go then? Like, talk us through the location that you went to. What country was it in?
So you have to go to Costa Rica.
Mhm.
The location I actually chose was a place called Soltara, and the reason I chose there was because it was spoken about subtly. No one really advertised it and said, "Come here, this is the best place ever." It was mainly famous people. I say famous, YouTube famous people such as Jake Paul, Joe Weller, Aubrey Marcus, people that had spoken about it. And I thought their experiences were so profound. Let me follow that path and see where Soltara leads me. I did see other people have gone to Rhythmia, which is like a one, but their ceremonies have about 90 people, or they can be up to 90. And Soltara capped it at 22. So I thought, I'm going to go there. I'm going to stay because I think
Mm.
having everyone's energy in that room is probably super intense. For me, I think 20 was good, but in our actual one, there was about 11 people, so that's manageable. But you have to go to Costa Rica. So we have to fly from London over to Costa Rica, which was a direct flight, about 12 hours. And then you have to stay in a hotel for a night. And then you go 4 hours into the jungle.
Mm.
And you have to, you stay in, I'm not going to say it's like a hovel at all. It is a luxury experience. You are there and you're taken care of. It comes with its price point, but you are taken care of, looked after. And me and my brother are staying in the same glamping tent, shall we say, and you've got a queen bed each, you've got electricity, you've got AC,
Mm.
like you are.
It's like glamping at
It
Glastonbury.
is such a glamping experience, and there was Playa Blanca, which is a bit more expensive, but I just felt so cool to being in the nature version of their experience. I was like, I'm going to do that. That
Mm.
feels right for me, and you have to kind of go with what the gut says. It's like, is this right? Yes or no? Let's do that.
The jungle then, how do you think being surrounded by nature impacts the experience?
I think nature is the crux of what ayahuasca is about. Like you are there to experience plant medicine, and being around nature is it calls the spirits of the plants. So to be around nature is the way that you probably should do it. I've seen people talk about they did it in America or they did it here and a shaman came over and yeah, they may have used a good shaman, or it just sounds strange to me to do such a profound plant medicine in a concrete jungle. So for me, it was like, that is the right place to go. It needs to be authentic.
Hmm.
That was the main thing for me. It had to be authentic. So being around nature, I think, is the key to maybe having such an interesting experience.
Mm. And then what was the actual ceremonial space like? You did a number of ceremonies, and by
Mm.
ceremonies we mean to actually taking the plant medicine, right? Just talk us through like what those ceremonies are and what the actual space looks like.
Yeah, it's so funny because when you go for these ceremonies, I was watching YouTube channels about people talking about the experience, and not many people go into the detail of this is what happens specifically step by step. So it's kind of a blank canvas in a way,
Mm.
but this is a ceremony. It is You're in something called a maloka, which is a beautiful structure. It has bamboo, it shoots up everywhere, and it's held up obviously by concrete, and it's quite well made. It's nothing that's rickety, but you go in there and the ceremony is everyone has these mats that are really comfortable. You have these black things that you kind of lean up against and two pillows. They give you a basket with toilet roll and they give you a red light, or you bring a red light because when you're under the effects of ayahuasca, light is piercing. It
Mm.
burns. So a red light is what you use to communicate and basically say if you need help. And they give you a purge bucket and a blanket. So you've got everything you need, but you sat around the Maloka. And in our one, there was 11 of us around the Maloka. I was there facing the door. And then you had 4 mats next to me. So you had 2 facilitators and 2 what they call maestras. Maestras are the Shipibo shamans that guide everyone through the ayahuasca journey. So you do yoga about 5:30, and then that's for an hour. And then 6:30, that's when you do your ceremony. And it's like a ritual. You have to really respect it. You sit around with dim lights. The maestras, they'll blow tobacco into the space and cleanse it, and then you start going up one by one to take your ayahuasca. So it'll start somewhere over there.
Were you nervous at this point?
Oh, bro.
Like that
The
apprehension that you didn't have leading up, did that come out?
it's kind of like, ooh, it's real now.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember over there. I think she started, and then she gets the ayahuasca, and you sit up on a pillow, and there's 2 facilitators, one each side, and then you're sat in front of the maestras, and you drink the ayahuasca, or that she drank the ayahuasca, and then it goes round, and it's finally my turn, and they start everybody off on like a 60 ml shot glass. That's like the starter dose, and I remember it was my turn, and you go in with an intention. I sit down and I kneel in front of this, like, she's all dressed up, Shipibo shaman, and she's got this 2 liter bottle looking thing of black, thick liquid.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
like, that is the ayahuasca. That is real. Like, this thing is in front of me, because it's all like talk when it's
Mm.
online, and then it's in front of you. You're like, ooh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I sit on this pillow, or I kneel on the pillow, and the facilitator says, "Are you happy with 1 cup?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with 1 cup. And then he says, when you get your ayahuasca, blow your intention into the ayahuasca and then drink. So my intention was, show me all the trauma I've experienced since birth until now and release what does not serve me.
Mm. Just pausing on that intention then. So was that part of the preparation that they gave you? Was that like in the weeks leading up you set those intentions? Was that the morning of, the day before? Did they do a workshop on what intentions are, or is it just you just winged it?
Yeah, they give you a book that kind of says, and in part of the online stuff they give you is to go through and understand your intentions. And for me, I'd already done that preparation to know that the trauma that we experience, all of us, we carry with us. And that is the thing that influences who we are, our decision making, and what we do. And for me, I know that's the thing that's maybe holding me back, because I'm following a blueprint. So I knew I've had a fairly okay life. Like, it's not like I've been on the streets and had to crawl my way up. It's standard where the parents have split up and you've gone through some kind of trauma as a kid and you've held on to it, because I don't have a massive emotional range. So for me, I know that something's in there that means I don't feel overly sad. I don't feel like crazy happy. I'm very driven, but I knew that that was something I wanted to face. So that was my intention, was like go through all the trauma that I've experienced from birth until now and release everything that does not serve me. So quite a big one.
Okay, so you're blowing that into the 60 ml shot glass of ayahuasca. Gonna be the craziest shot you've ever had.
Oh, bro, like, I'm there, and everyone online says how disgusting it is, and it's like tar, and it's so I'm in my head ready, my heart is pounding like it's dum 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 dum, because I'm about to take this shot glass, and I know once this is in me, there's no going back, man. Like, so I've got it. I say my intention, I blow it into the cup, and then I'm like, I feel it. It's like, it doesn't burn, but it's got viscosity to it, and it flows down the neck. And I'm like, okay. And it tasted like earthy chocolate. It was actually not too bad. So I then take it and I go sit on my mat, and I'm like, oh.
Feel it already?
No, I meant, as in like, there's no going back now, man. Like, you're on that train. You've just boarded the train, and there's no stops. There's no stops along that way. So you are in. So in my head, I thought, okay, we're in for this now. And I'm sitting there, and then everyone finishes their ayahuasca shot. They all take it, and then you just sit, and the facilitators will take a working dose of ayahuasca. So that's not enough to send them to the stars, but enough that they can see your energy field in the ceremony. And then the maestras, they take their working dose, and they start smoking and blowing their tobacco, and it's proper 100% tobacco into the room. And then the lights go down, and no one's talking. All you're there with is a bit of the moonlight, pitch black, and the noise.
So it's in the evening.
Oh yeah,
6:30
p.m. on the dot. That starts. But you do all this. This is the ceremony, like the build up to it, and then you just sit and you wait. You can go to the toilet, like I did a few times, and then you just come sit back down your mat, and you have to use your red light to kind of guide you, because you can't use bright light. And when you go to the toilet, they've blocked out all the mirrors. Like,
good.
Well, I mean, I've never done anything like this before, but they block out all the mirrors, and there's no bright light or anything. It's all just candlelight. And then it takes about half an hour or 40 minutes, and nothing happens. But then every ceremony starts with the shaman going, and then that's when they start.
So is that on the 30 minutes? Like 30 minutes in, they'll do that?
So I was told that they do that when they start to feel the effects of the medicine, because they're the last ones to take it.
So if they're feeling it, others are feeling it.
Others should feel it. So that gives you like an indicator. Okay, right, we're getting going. And then they start singing Icaros. And because there's two maestras, one will sing the feminine, which is like the high voice, like, oh, and one will sing the masculine, which is like the low. And when they do the Icaros, they do one or two first, and then they move into the center of the circle, and they'll start singing personal Icaros to an individual on each side. And then they're about 8 to 10 minutes ish, I guess, depending on the number of people. And then they go round like that until everyone's had 2 Icaros each. And that's how the ceremony progresses. And then they'll usually, I think they do either closing Icaro, or the ceremony just kind of ends. But so they start doing that, and then they do their, and I'm like, okay, we're starting. And I'm just sat there, just like, okay.
Are you still nervous?
I don't know what's coming.
Like are you trying to meditate and calm your mind down? And
I'm thinking, I don't know
fuck.
I'm thinking I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I've gone through and taken things in the past, but I don't know what's coming. And they start singing, and it's cool. And then I'm like, ooh, I can feel something. Like I feel like this, like a rush. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I'm coming up. I can feel that something's
Mm.
happening. Um, and then my mind's racing, and I start seeing. I'm closing my eyes, and I can see patterns. Like I can see black and white dots swirling around, and then I'm seeing greens and oranges, and I see like the outline of a desert, and then like flashes of light. And I'm like, this is cool. And then like the
So
vision.
your eyes closed,
Oh
no,
yeah,
no uh like blindfold or anything?
no, no
No,
blindfold. I just wanted
just raw
to.
dogged it.
I did raw dog it. I did have a blindfold just in
Yeah,
case, but I'm in my trackies. I'm like
yeah.
comfortable. I'm warm, and I just start seeing all the patterns. I'm like, oh, this is actually all right. I've never seen this before, and I feel comfortable and safe. And then like my mind just starts whirring, and like the thoughts just go like a million miles an hour. I'm like, oh God, like, and then I'm seeing WhatsApp messages, and I can't really understand what's happening, but I can see like a conversation going on in these WhatsApp messages. It's not like suddenly my space is full of visuals. It's just when I close my eyes, when I open them, fine, but then close, and then it gets really intense. Like the colors are just happening. I'm feeling like, oh, I feel sick. I need to be sick. I need to like stop this. My ego suddenly starts going,
Mm,
run. And I'm like, I let that kind of go. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm fighting myself. I'm like, nah, we're here to work. You got to deal with this. And the colors at this point are just so intense. And then suddenly I heard people talking in my ear, like, and I'm like, the heck? But then I look over there, and then I realise people are just talking over there, but so much is happening at once, I'm getting a bit overwhelmed.
mm,
And then I'm seeing figures walk past me, and I'm like, "Where the fuck am I?" And it's because my depth perception's going. So I think someone's in front of me, but they're actually over there. And then I can hear people talking, but they're actually like over there.
oh wow.
And when people are flashing their red lights to ask people, some people are asking for more ayahuasca. I've just taken a cup, and I'm like,
And
don't give me any more." Like,
it's only just getting started at this point, right?
yeah, and people, and like when they flash the red light, it take them, or like light their tobacco, because you get a cigar
Mm,
when they light the tobacco. Like the light takes you out of your thing, and you're like, oh God, a lot's happening. When really, like if you're sober, I'm sure it wouldn't be too intense, but when you're coming up,
mm,
but then after this is so intense, and I'm like in split dimensions. I'm there, I'm here, and I just don't know what's going on. I'm like, tough. I got to deal with this now. Uh, and then
was there any regret at this point when you're coming up for the first time?
I was a little bit like, what am I doing? What have I done?
Mm.
Like, I can't escape it now, but what have I done? Like, it wasn't regret. It was just, oh no, I'm on that train again, man. And then I'm like sat there, and the Icaro start, and I feel like I'm like a snake. She sits in front of me. I just see a black figure, and she sings at me, and I sit up automatically. My body does it all by itself, and I become like a snake, and I'm like, she's like, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I can't
I'm a
move.
snake.
I'm a snake, man, and I'm not able to control anything. Everything's been done to me, or like
Mm.
for me. And then she's
What do you mean by that? Because I've heard you reference it when we spoke last time, and there was
mm,
lots of movements that you were doing, and you were saying that it wasn't me, it was the medicine. How would you describe that feeling?
imagine you become the observer in your body, and you don't have to resist it. Your body just knows intuitively where to go and what to do, and you just trust it. I'd say I'm sure there might be people out there that resist it, and they're like, don't control me. But for me, it was like, cool, let's let this take its
Mm.
course. We're here to work. Now we need to do whatever we need to do to let ayahuasca do its thing. And that's when I felt suddenly like I'm like a serpent, just she's singing it, and it's beautiful. And I'm just swaying. And then I'm like, okay, so the Icaro goes on, and then suddenly I'm getting like dragged down the mat by my own body. I'm like, and
Mm.
then I like things start moving. I'm feeling pain get dug out of me, like a masseuse is like digging everything into me, but I'm using my own hands to dig it out. And then I'm doing that for about 8 minutes, 10 minutes while she's singing at me. And then when she stops, it's like the puppeteer, the person with the strings, has like let me go, and I'm like, oh okay, interesting. And then suddenly I'm sat in the corner. I say in the corner, I'm sat on the mat, and then she's moved on, and then suddenly I'm like this in the dark, and my face goes mental, and I can't control it. I'm like, when they're singing, I'm like this, like getting stretched out. My face is being pulled. I'm like, what
So your face is being like contorted in
man?
directions.
It's like you're having some form of Tourette's, or someone's got strings and they're pulling bits of your face, like.
Mm.
And then suddenly I felt a pain in there, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I was asking it, "What is this?" And it said, "That is a dentist appointment when you were like 9 years old." And I was like, "Whoa, okay, interesting." And then it starts clicking in my head. I'm like, "Okay, am I starting to see all the trauma that I've experienced?"
Mm.
And I realized all of these facial things and twitches that are happening. I'm going through every single emotion I've ever experienced in my life in a fraction of a second. And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Mm.
And I,
Beyond the physical movements in your face,
mm,
did you feel each of those
yeah,
emotions?
yeah, you felt everything as if it was real and happening.
Both the high highs and the low lows
Oh,
at the same time?
everything. So I'm going through all the twitching, and I start going like this, like I'm playing guitar. And I'm like, oh, it's when I learned guitar. And then it goes like, I was like, oh, it's when I've learnt piano. And it was actually playing tunes I'd learned, and I could feel like the specific rhythms, etc. I was
Mm.
doing. And then it was like this, I played drums. And then at some point when I was a kid, this was a thing. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
started doing that, and I was like, okay. And then it was like finger guns, and I was like, okay, what the fuck? And then I start going through emotion, so much emotion, like happiness, sadness, anger, like fights I'd been in and stuff as a kid, and then I cried my heart out. I was like, oh, this feeling like something grabbed me and pulled my heart down.
Mm.
I was like, my emotional range on an average day is like this. So to have it like expanded and feel like such low and high, I was like, this is amazing. I'm
Mm.
feeling so much emotion. And I was like embellishing it. Like, give it to me. Like, tell me, show me.
So even when you're crying and feeling what people could interpret as negative emotions, being anger, sadness,
Mm.
um, anxiety, whatever it may be, you didn't interpret it as a negative in that moment. It was I came here to experience and feel these emotions.
Yeah. I wanted to release it. I wanted to go through it because, like, when I was younger, my dad, I think, said he had a heart attack and I was about 10. And, like, I just lay there and did nothing. I just kind of didn't, I felt emotion, but I suppressed it.
Mm.
And I remember just never, I didn't hug him. I just was like, oh, I could have lost my dad. And then just, I felt so much and I just kept pushing it down. So it's probably somewhere in there. But I felt something grab my heart and pull it out. And I was like, oh, that was when my parents maybe broke up. And I was like 7. And then I go through all the happiness, the sadness, and then suddenly my body kind of goes like this. And I was like, I'm not me anymore. I'm my stepdad. And I just knew. And then I start seeing like the visuals change to all this black and white steel girders, mechanical cogs. And I was like, this is how I see the world. Because he's growing up, he's always been very cold. I've never really had like a dad figure that's shown me the way. I've had to figure it out myself. And going and seeing it from that perspective was like, I started feeling all of his emotions. So I saw the world as black and white, but he's quite autistic. So
Mm.
and that's not, that's just an objective. This is how he sees the world. And I felt all the emotions inside like I was him. And I was like, oh my God, this is how he sees the world. And then it starts going through our life together because he came into my life when I was about 7. And it starts going through that period of time. And I can feel that we're not seeing it visually, but I can feel that we're going through this experience of him. I'm raising me essentially,
Mm.
and it was beautiful. It was like, wow, it's so hard to raise me. Like I'm fighting him all the time. My sister's fighting him all the time. Like we're resisting. And there was this point where I heard the message, oh, I love these kids more than their dad loves them, and they just don't see it. And I was like, wow.
Mm.
Wow. Like this whole time in my life, obviously this is like a reflection afterwards. I was kind of like, this whole time I thought I never had a father figure, but it was there in front of me the whole time.
Mm. It's just like you've been almost given the perspective of someone else, and that's helped create and grow this empathy for this individual that
Mm,
maybe you didn't see beforehand.
that's it. It's seeing life from his point. I was like, how hard is it to come into a family when the kids already exist and they've already got like this blueprint, and you're having to come into their world when I'm like fighting, like at that time, a male fighting a male presence, but all he cared about was just looking after us and being our parent.
Mm.
And then I go through the experience of his daughter died about a year ago, which would be what, my auntie in a sense, I guess, or step auntie. But I felt it. I experienced it like him because he never talked about it. He's never cried, but I felt that experience as him. And then my nan died a week before I went to Soltara, and I experienced it again as him. And I was like, oh my God, like I feel so sorry that he's had to go through this and no one understands him. And I was like, my hands were going like this. I'm losing. No one understands me. And I was like, wow, I'm seeing life from his perspective. It was beautiful.
Mm.
And then that happens for a long time. I just see a lot of stuff from his point of view. And then I just kind of come out of it, and then I go into this back stretching thing again, and so much. If it was like my body was a homing device, finding the pain points, and then it stretched me out. I'd be like, "Oh God, that's painful," and it'd be like a masseuse trying to find the pain, and then it find it,
Mm.
it stretched me, and I'd be
Oh,
like,
I could do with that, man.
"Yeah,
I could
you
do with
don't
that.
realize,"
Yeah.
but the reflection on that is so much trauma is stored in your body, and when I'm experiencing reliving the trauma, it's finding it and then stretching it out. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And this is going for hours, man. And they say that ayahuasca can give you a second gift. And that's where the experience starts again. So the ceremony ends about 1
In the morning.
in the morning. So we've gone for a 5-6 hour stint, and it ends, and like they pack up and go. But then I'm laying there, and I'm feeling like I can't leave. And I was like, what? And I just knew I couldn't leave. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to sit here. I wasn't afraid, but something inside just told me, you've got to stay here. And I was like, okay. And then as everyone leaves, it kicks in again. And I'm like, I don't know the time because I haven't got a watch. You don't have anything electronic on you. So I then suddenly it starts kicking in again. I'm my stepdad again. And then my foot starts tapping on the floor. And I was like, I'm not my stepdad anymore. I'm my granddad.
So you're already 7 hours in.
Oh, bro,
or like
yeah.
6.5 hours in, and it starts again.
yeah. And I'm
like, when you felt it kicking in, were you assuming then it had like slightly died off
Yeah.
a little bit, and then you feel it coming back in? Like, were you grateful for the second gift, or were
Yeah.
you like, oh no,
I literally in my head was just like, all right,
There we
we're going
go.
again. And it starts kicking off, and just going through my granddad, where he had dementia at the end of his life, and I was seeing life through his eyes, as in like it was just black, and it was a coal mine type thing. I couldn't really understand what was happening. It wasn't too much of a deep insight, but it just gave me an insight. And the thing is, I didn't know. I just knew I was my granddad, but I didn't know the foot tapping was anything significant. But then when I told my sister the story recently, she was like, "Oh yeah, granddad, you did that all the time," and I was like, what? And I just was speechless because I didn't know that was him. I never saw him do that. But it was all connected. And then the rest of the night I'm getting stretched out again. And then finally I get let go. And I was like, oh, I can leave. And I just knew I could leave. So I get up and go to walk out, and there's no one in their beds apart from one girl. And I was like, okay. So I walked back to the tent, and my brother's in there, he's awake. And I was like, look at my phone. I pick it up from the charger, and it's like 4:30 in the morning. I was like, whoa, I've just had nearly 12 hours of that. And that was the first night.
So you don't do them back to back either, is it? It's not not one and
you do. So when you do it, the ceremony is over a 7-day or 8-day retreat. You do one after the other. So 1, 2, have a day off, and then 1, 2.
So what, you slept a little bit?
I did not sleep that night. I mean, I've just had just because Costa Rica.
I don't know if your mind would just be exhausted from like the, I don't know, chemical expulsion that's just happened, if your body then needed to go into this like rest and recovery mode, or is your now conscious mind so fucking awake?
Yeah.
it's had the fucking doors blown open.
Yeah, bro. You're
Yeah,
literally like that. You just get chucked in the deep end. I did.
yeah.
Some people didn't have half of it as an experience. I had that, and I was like, "How am I going to sleep after that?" I tried to,
Mm,
but I saw the light come up, and I was like, "Nah, I'm awake. I could not sleep."
mm,
So I journaled everything, wrote it all down, and then I was like, I text my stepdad straight and added like made a group with my mum and stepdad and was like said everything about what my experience with them was, and there was like, "Oh wow, that's an amazing thing." But then I just know that next day we talk about our experience a bit, and we have an ayahuasca talk with the maestras, and they say, "Yeah, last night was a diagnosis, and tonight's the real work." And I was like, "You're joking me. I've just gone through 12 hours of that, and you're telling me that was a diagnostic session." It was mad.
Were you then? What was your feelings towards the second ceremony then? Like now you're tired. The doors have been blown off. You've done 10, 12 hours, and now they're like, we're doubling down, kind of thing. Like how did you feel going into that second one?
I'm ready, mate.
Game on,
Game on, baby.
Did you sleep at all during the day then?
No sleep for me. There was no way. I was just like, I'd been waiting for so long for this, and I was given this gift of
Yeah.
12 hours or 11, 11, 12 hours. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. Give me round two, baby. I was just like so accepting of it. And they said, explained my experience, and the facilitator said, "You seem so connected to the medicine." And I was
Mm.
like, I'm happy with that. I want her to give me everything that she's got.
Mm-hmm.
And not tempting the devil or anything, no, I mean to say, or not tempting fate, but I thought, let's see what happens on night two. And night two, 3, and 4, every experience was unique.
Mm.
And night 2 was just something different. So we go again, 5:30 yoga, just stretching some bits out, but then 6:30 starts, and same setup happens. Now I've experienced the first one, I see the second. Everyone's sat around, maestros come in, they blow smoke in the air, and then it's time to take the ayahuasca. This time it moves around a bit, and then I go to take mine, and the facilitator says to me, "Do you want to take more?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
One cup does
So is
me."
it 60 mil again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Cool, that was fine for last time. Let's do that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." So I take mine, I go to sit down. Again, that whole thing plays out where everyone has their shots, the facilitators, the maestros, and then it goes dark. And I'm just sat there, and I start having a conversation with something. And I'm like, okay, this was so different. I was expecting like a real vast, intense come up. But this was like, I'm having a conversation with some being or something. And it's like in my head, it's my voice, but I know it's not me. It's like starts talking to me about life. I'm like, okay. And I'm closing my eyes, and I start seeing beautiful, beautiful 3D images like plants and greenery. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But it's distracted me from what's happening in the real world. I'm like, okay, I'm having this conversation with this great being. And I was like, I need the toilet. And I was like, can we still talk, me and this being? And she was like, laughed a little bit. I knew it was a she.
Mm.
You just know things here. You don't see, you just know. And I was like, I need to go to the toilet, but I don't want this conversation to end. And she was like, that fear of loss comes from when your dad left. So she was like, that fear comes from when your dad left. And I was like, the fear of loss.
Mm.
And I was like, even that little gem was like, interesting. So I go to the bathroom, and we're still having a conversation, like, but the world's really like, I can see the toilets moving like this, and the wood and stuff, and the candles are like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm high, but I'm like in control. And then I go sit back down, and then we carry on the conversation. And I can't specifically nail when the transition happens, but I'm having this deep conversation about life, and I'm suddenly in the spirit realm without realizing it. Because of all these pretty patterns that are happening, the Icaros like start, and they do it again. They go the and I know, okay, we're about half an hour, 40 minutes in. And when the Icaros start, I'm in some other realm. Like, we're having deep conversation about life, and then suddenly, like, the Icaros start, and I'm like orchestrating them. I'm like doing all these intricate patterns, like, I'm making all these weird clicking sounds. I'm like, okay, I know I'm alive and I'm here, but I'm somewhere else.
Mm.
And we start talking about life. And she's saying, I'm like, what's the purpose? And she's like, the human experience is the purpose of life. I'm like, okay. I'm like, am I doing everything right in life? She's like, you're doing everything brilliantly. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, okay. Like, is it right for me to go and build this new business? Because me and a friend are building the AI business. And she was like, yeah. And then she was like, I'm going to Canada in next month. I was like, is that the right thing to do? And she's like, you need to go to Canada. I was like, okay. And I was like, what about, my marketing agency? And she's like, you need that. You need your marketing agency. And in 2019, I did a lot of TikTok videos. So that's how I grew my personal brand, was TikTok back in 2019. And then I opened a marketing company. And she said that she gave me the thirst for TikTok, like the experience with it, so that I could run the marketing company and leave my job. So then my experience making content, I could then make content for the AI business. And then she said, and you're going to go out and you're going to tell people about your life experience because I want you to inspire others. And I was like, interesting. Because I've made so many personal vlogs over the years and I've never really sat down and edited them because life gets in the way.
Mm.
But she was like, no, you need to inspire others. Like, you're a fun spirit. And then she was telling me that this is just a body, this is just a vessel that we have, but the spirit is the thing that lives on, and it's put here to learn. It goes through the human experience to learn. And I was like, wow. And when I was in the spirit realm and I was so knowledgeable, I knew everything and it felt like home. And
So there's a level of peace and
bro,
welcoming.
if like I'd never
Yeah.
come back, I'd have been happy.
Mm.
I've been completely at peace. And this has gone on for so long, I don't even realize it. And then suddenly I feel like something on me, like smoke, and I can hear, Adam, Adam. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it's just like, breathe. And then like, it's like a flicker, like in different dimensions. I'm suddenly from the spirit world into our world again. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm a human. Shit, I'm on Earth. I was like, fuck, I completely forgot. I was a human with a body and existed. I was just a conscious thought. And she's blowing the smoke on me, and then I'm like, oh, my heart's suddenly racing, like realizing I'm alive. And then I'm like,
It's like, send me back. It was more peaceful
I,
there.
I was in a good place, and then suddenly, like, the Icaros are starting, and my body goes back into moving with the Icaros, like orchestrating them, and I'm like, I'm like, Mama's got me so tight, and she's like, what, and blows more smoke on me, and she's like, breathe, Adam, breathe, and I'm like, she's got me, and she's like, breathe, and I'm like, okay, breathe. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm saying out loud in this quiet room with everyone going, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jesus fucking hell. I'm like, oh, and then I get the communication from, I realize the whole time I've been talking to grandmother Ayahuasca, and she is like the plant spirit. And she said she's channeling herself through my body and she's using my vessel. And she apologized because she said it's really intense being in the spirit world and her world. So her world and like the spirit world and our world. But she needs to use me tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, I'm starting to make all these clicky, poppy noises and I'm like taking it when Icaros are happening, I'm sucking in the negative energy and like spitting it out. So I'm like, and I've never done this in my life. So it's amazing I can repeat it now, but it was intensely insane. And I was like, well, I kept going in the spirit world and out of it. I was like, I want to write notes. And I'd set up my journal next to me before the ceremony on a blank page with the pen ready. And she was like, you're not writing notes. And I was like, oh, she was like, the lessons that I teach you, I learn. They're not written. And I was like, okay. But she whips my hand out. And this isn't me controlling my body. It whips my hand out, pulls open the page, gets the pen, and writes down a note in there and shuts it. She was like, that's all you're getting. And I was like,
What did that note say when you looked at it? Did you look at it that evening?
no, I looked at it after the ceremony and I was like, oh, that was so intense. It was crazy. And then on the actual night itself, so there we go. So she wrote this.
Grandma channeled herself through me. You're welcome.
Right, like it's that. Yeah, it was crazy. And like when I show people that at the end, like
Yeah.
after my experience, she like I showed them it, and then I started doing it. I dropped the book, and I was like, I was like, what the fuck? That's crazy. And like I couldn't touch the book for a little while, otherwise I'd just go into this spasm of. So that was absolutely intense. But what a profound experience that was. I got to see everything like from a new perspective. Like it was my destiny to do what I'm doing, and I learned that everything is divine timing. And like leaving the book, there was no, in my head there was no reason for me to leave the book like on that page ready to go, but that's what happened. And I was like, okay. And time in their world just works so differently. Like we see time as linear, but they don't. The spirit world is not time, which is really hard to describe. But that's what I've come away learning from that experience. So that one ends, and she said, I'm going to sleep well tonight. And I was like, okay. So I go, finishes at 1 or 12 or whatever. I get up and I'm ready to go. I go back to my thing and sleep, and I'm done. I'm like, wow, fuck, that was incredible.
Bet you slept well that night, though, having been awake for like 30 hours at that point.
If I could bottle that sleep and give it to someone else, fair play to you, man. You have a best bloody sleep of your life. Where are we on?
54.
50. Okay, I'll speed through the next two bits then.
Yeah, that's it. So that's night 2 then, and
Yeah.
so night 1 is they describe as diagnostic.
Yeah.
Number 2, you've been channeled by how do you describe it? Grandmother
Ayahuasca, baby.
Ayahuasca through you.
She took me over, and I was her slave.
And you've taken some insights from that then. And then there's a day break or so, and then you go into
day break, and I'm laying in the dining room, and on day 3 where I'm like free man. I'm getting stretched out in all type of yoga positions. I'm laying there by myself, and I'm just suddenly getting stretched out, and I'm just letting it happen. And it's just stretching out all that trauma in the body. And I didn't realize how much I had until I'm getting stretched out.
And that's so interesting, because your body on a cellular level does store a lot of the trauma and emotions that we feel. And I think often people with, I don't know, long-term pain and all these kind of like chronic conditions and stuff like that, I often ponder how much of that's down to us not having an opportunity in the typical day-to-day lives that a lot of us live to actually release some of that emotion and trauma and feeling and experience. And I think often you can express that through the physical stretching and through the kind of meditative, kind of mindful, mental practices. I like how this ayahuasca trip has been a really diverse mix of very inward, but also this kind of like external, like stretching your body, finding these pain points and releasing these things in both avenues.
Yes. I think that they described it, the facilitators describe it as a gazelle, and you're running away from a lion. What happens is the gazelle will, after it's run away from the lion, it's escaped, it will lie down, and then it will shake and like tremor, and like that's it, releasing that stress energy. Whereas as humans, what we do is we go through trauma or negative experience, and we just carry on. So I had 34 years of trauma just like lodged in my entire body, and I was like, oh, there's so much to release, and you can't just release it in one night. Jesus. And it's like ayahuasca knows you're going to be there for that time frame, because night 3 is a completely different experience, and then night 4 is just like completely couldn't predict what's coming type of thing. So amazingly, I was reading a book recently called The Body Keeps the Score, and I'm still getting through it, but I think it links quite nicely with this. But yeah, it's all in the body. And then we go that day without a ceremony, and then you go to ceremony 3, and same process. You kind of know the deal now.
Yeah.
You go in, you do your yoga at 5:30. You then sit on your mat. They come in. You take your ayahuasca. This time it's gone around a bit more, so and it's honing in to me nearly being first. But then everyone takes a shot, and I'm sticking with 1 cup. And I'm like, okay, cool. Take my cup, sit down, and this one was so different. I was expecting. I've just had a profound experience or the other day, and I'm expecting something similar. Or I'm trying to remove expectations because they say don't have any expectation. But on this one, the Icaros sound and feel different. But I didn't really feel anything in the Icaros start, and I'm like, because I hear the and I'm not feeling anything. And I think this is weird. And then like I hear them start singing, and I whispered, I was like, "Oh, Rob," who was the facilitator next to me, he comes over, and I'm like, "I'm not feeling anything. Can I just have a bit more?" And he was like, "Wait till they move into the middle, and then you can ask for more." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Just a little bit might be fine." He's like, "I'll check on you." But they start singing, and then it takes a little while longer. But then I start getting the visuals again, and I'm like, "Oh God," I'm like feeling everything. And that it's like a twitching thing, and then I go into. Suddenly my hands become spiders, and they're racing across my body and like finding pain points, real deep pain points I didn't even know existed. Like when someone, a masseuse, gives you a real good push somewhere, and you're like, "Oh God, put your finger straight in there and push it hard." My own body was finding these pain points, and it would be accurate, pinpoint accuracy. This hand was like a magic surgeon that was finding it, and it would push down, and then I'd be in so much pain, I'd be like, "Stop, stop," but then it would find it, release it, and I'd be like, "Incredible." You know what
Yeah,
you're doing.
yeah,
And I was like, wow.
yeah.
And then it's like finding pain points and pushing it, found something inside me, and it starts pushing it up here. And I'm like, there's something in me, and it's trying to get out my throat. It's like pushing up here and almost strangling me and trying to get this thing out. And I'm like, oh, what is it? And then I start feeling real sick. And then the visuals, I suddenly get freezing. It's like I'm going through the flu. And I'm like, oh, I'm experiencing sickness again. And I grab the blanket, put it over me, and it becomes like a cocoon. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then I see like this green poison, like the visuals are like a big waspy type thing and poison. And I'm like, oh, something's in me and it's horrible. And it's really burning inside, and I'm pushing it there and I can't get it out. I'm trying to get it out, but I can't. And I start going, oh God. And then my finger starts going like this. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And then suddenly I'm like, what is that? And then like suddenly I'm like, and it's pitch black, and I can hear the maestros over there singing, doing an Icaro. I'm there like, and they're like,
Comes back.
it goes back. I'm like, oh man, and I'm in so much pain here, like it's so
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And I'm like, please, like what the fuck, like help me. And I can't say anything like humanly. I'm not like help. I'm like. The facilitator comes over and she's like, Adam, shh. I'm like, no, I need help. And then she's like, the maestro is coming. Okay. So they bring over this maestra, and she like, they start talking in Spanish, the facilitator and her, and she's like, and he said to me, oh, she needs to do a chupo or chupa or something, which is like their way of a spiritual surgery. And I was like, please just do it. Do the surgery on me. And like, she whips up my top, and then she like spits flour all over me, and it smells beautiful. But I'm literally like getting a rain spit shower from one of the maestras. And then she starts pushing things around, and then my clicks become like a sonar. They're like, and she like puts her lips straight on me, and she's like, spits it out into a bucket. And then I'm like, I can kind of open my eyes and see what's going on, but it's like fluorescent green in my vision. But obviously it's not, but in my ayahuasca state. And then she sucks something else out, and suddenly, oh mate, took it out, gone. And I was like, oh, incredible. Like I just had some kind of spiritual thing ripped out of me, and she spat it into a bucket.
Spiritual surgery.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
It's crazy, man. And it was real. Like, say what you want, hear the story, and like, until you've gone through it, you cannot say anything. Like, and I get this a lot when I was watching all the YouTube videos. People would say, you can hear what I'm saying, but you won't believe or understand me until you go through it. And I completely second that after going through it, because I was like, now I get what they mean.
I think that's a common phrase that I hear from anyone that I speak to that's done psychedelics,
Mm.
specifically ayahuasca being the kind of pinnacle of the psychedelics experience, is it's so hard to describe unless you've been there
Mm.
yourself and have that connection with the other world, the other realities. And I think people often have this misconception of, oh, that sounds like a load of waffle and all these things, and yet when you experience it, it feels more real than the world we live in today.
Yeah. If anything, I think psychedelics seem to, or that in particular, seem to give a window into the real world.
Mm,
Like this seems to be not a figment of our imagination, but this seems to be the simulation
mm,
that we're experiencing to learn. And uh, I felt like that was way more real than this, which is really hard to give to someone that's
mm,
never experienced it. It's like me saying, have you seen the color blello? You would never know what I mean until you see it.
mm,
Like it's just, a made up word until you see what's happening. And it's exactly the same with an ayahuasca experience. Everyone can tell you about it, you can read about it, and you can listen about it, but nothing will compare to you experiencing it. And
mm,
apparently, 10 or 15 years ago, people never actually used to drink the ayahuasca. It was the Shipibo tribe that would drink the ayahuasca. And in the ceremony, they would just sing icaros at you, sort out your energy field. Because what they see is like these jagged lines that are your energy field. So they see blockages and they sing specific icaros to remove those blockages and allow you to release the trauma that
mm,
the physical body holds on to. And they can see it in your energy. This is what I've been told by the facilitators explicitly. So it's only our Western minds that can't comprehend, because from what I've learned from the facilitators and the Shipibo is that they don't need meaning. Like we need meaning. Our Western minds need meaning to comprehend things, but they don't see the world like that. Things are what they are, but to us, we need to have a reason to do something, or
mm.
this is the reason something is like it is. So the fact that we drink the ayahuasca is part of from what I understand, our Western influence.
It's interesting. So, is
Mm.
there anything else then on that third ceremony?
No, it was very physical, and I felt really like I came out of it after that, like chupa, I think it's called. After the surgery, it kind of starts stretching out again, and then the ceremony finishes, and I was kind of like, that was something nothing.
Mm,
Like, although it was incredible, but I just had this profound experience on night 2. So night 3, I was a bit okay. Maybe just wasn't as connected. Maybe I didn't take enough, and I'd
mm.
left with quite a heavy heart, thinking, I've
Because
got
you had expectations.
a little not. I was trying not to have expectations. I was kind of thinking, my next thought was, we only have one left. I've come all this way to Costa Rica to experience ayahuasca, and I've got one ceremony left. And if it was like tonight, I'd be so disappointed.
Mm,
And that's my own fault for my human expectation on that experience. But that next day, I start asking all the facilitators, like, this was my experience. I didn't feel as connected. So do you think I should take more? And all of their answer was, if you feel like you need more, you can take more. Maybe just wait and see how you feel. So that next day, I know that ceremony 4 is tonight. And I'm like, I want to make sure this is the best thing ever. I want to make sure that I walk away with everything that I need. So I start working on my intention. And I spoke to the facilitator about it. I was like, this is my intention. What do you think? And it was something along the lines of, like, tell me where I need to go. Tell me what I need to do. And she her name was Gemma. And she listened to me and she kind of went, hmm. And I was like, oh, she's about to lay some wisdom on
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
And
Let her cook.
yeah, when like someone's wise in front of you, because she was so wise, and she gave me any conversation I have with this facilitator. We only had like 3 or 4 conversations, but they were all, I would say, all had their own merit. But she would take my perspective from here, and she'd pivot it over here, and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, you are a miracle worker.
Mm,
Like, she just knew exactly what to say, when to say it, and I was like, brilliant. And I said to her about the intention, and she's kind of went, sometimes we're looking outwardly for the answer, but maybe what we need to do is look inward and find out what is it that we want. So not someone or something telling us what we need to do, but maybe what is it inside that what are our wants, what are our desires, what are the things that we want to achieve.
Mm.
And then we refined this intention to be, and this was my intention for the fourth night, help me understand myself, who I am, my essence, and what I can share with the world. Help me heal my heart and merge me back to my soul at all costs.
What do you mean by essence?
Like, what is my inside? What is my energy? Like, who am I? What am I? Like, what is Adam? What is Adam Prioletti? Like, show me about who I really am. Like, show me the truth. And I was like, for me, that felt right. That felt so right. And I was like, cool, we're going to stay with this intention. So I'm really clear about my intention for the evening. And we go again, 5:30, yoga. Then it gets to 6:30. And I know I've got to put my all in here to make sure that I just don't get distracted by anything and just focus on this one intention. And I heard them whispering. So the facilitators come in, the maestros come in again with that 2-liter bottle of ayahuasca. And I'm like, me and you tonight. Like,
Yeah.
and one of the facilitators, her name was Isabel, she leans over and goes, Adam. And I was like, oh, she's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And I'm first. So I kind of go up, sit on the pillow, like kneel down on it, and I'm face to face with me and the maestro. And then Rob, who's next to me, one of the facilitators, he says, are you ready for tonight? And I was like, yeah, I'm super ready. And he said, how much do you want? And I was like, I'm going to leave it up to you. I felt less connected last night. I'm happy if you think I should take more, I'll take more. If you think that one is fine, because it served me fairly all right for the whole time, but you decide and you let me know. And he was like, maybe we'll just take 1 cup. And if you need more, you just let me know. And I was like, cool. So she pours out, he takes a red light and he puts it up against the shot glass, because this is what they do so the maestro can see. She fills it up right to the brim. And I take the ayahuasca. In my head, I say the intention. And then I say, thank you, I trust you. And this is all kind of whispered. And then I blow it onto the glass. And then I take it, and it's that earthy, brown, tasty chocolate. And I'm like, okay, cool, taking this. I go sit back on my mat, and I sit in the most energetically open position that you can sit in. And
What's that?
so you sit like this.
So like legs crossed and kind of palms up,
Yeah.
as people do when they like meditate and
When
stuff
they
like
meditate,
that.
yeah. So that's actually opens all your, from what I understand, opens your chakras and energy fields and lets everything in, because you're bringing everything to your palms. And at the beginning of the retreat, I probably couldn't do this very well. Even now, not the best, but all that stretching, etc., for the other ceremonies allowed me to sit in a really nice, fairly comfortable upright position. So I'm sat there, and I say that intention, close my eyes, so eyelids, and I can just see the dim light through the eyelids, and I say that intention, and I end with, I trust you, thank you, and I blow it into the air, and then it becomes like a rhythm, like I start again not being in control of my body, and I say that intention over and over again, and then I say, thank you, I trust you, and blow it, and I can feel my body's like directing where it needs to be blown, and I say that mantra over and over and over, and it gets to a point where I'm not saying it anymore. I'm just thinking it. And again, blowing it out into the air. And it just kind of, I see the lights go down. I've not opened my eyes once. And I'm in this zone. And I know this is what I'm focusing on. And then I start to see the colours. And then suddenly, like, it just hits me like a sledgehammer. And it is like,
Hello, motherfucker.
I don't even know how it happened, because at 1 minute I'm like here, next I'm like,
Yeah, it's like it's at the start of a roller coaster and everything goes calm just before you like dip.
there was no like warning. There was no,
yeah.
you're about to go on this journey. It was like, yeah, you're right. You're here. And I was like, oh God. And the colors were just super intense. And I was like, whoa, if you ever Google DMT simulation, it was like that. And I was like, holy, whoa. And it was super intense. And I was like, oh my God. And I realized I'm getting like a spiritual surgery. And I'm seeing like hands come towards me, not like humans, but like hands. And they're like pulling stuff out of me. And I'm like, oh man, this is intense. And like, I'm going through all these different zones and colors, and I know that there's multiple beings just starting to not rip me apart in a negative way, but they're pulling stuff out of me, and I'm like, oh, this is intense, and like I can feel it coming out my legs, like that, and then it's like suddenly starts cleaning all my organs, and I look down, and I can see my intestines and my like liver and everything. It's not like blood and guts; it's like a 3D version of my
Mm.
organs, and like the colors are changing from greens to yellows to, and it's all in like geometry, and I'm like, oh fuck, this is intense.
Mm.
And then starts like smoke starts coming out of my like body, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, and then I realise it's all the smoke, the secondhand smoke I've inhaled as a child, because my nan used to smoke around me, my dad used to smoke around me, and my uncle. So and like it's kind of, I think it's Mother Ayahuasca again. I'm not sure, but she's going like, "Oh, this is dirty. This is disgusting." And she's using
Mm.
my mouth to say it, and I'm whispering it to myself. I'm like, "Oh," and then I can feel it like coming up, and I'm like, "Oh." The room is filled with smoke, and I can like taste. I can physically I
Mm.
can taste the fag ash on my tongue, and it's like coming up and coming out my mouth, and I'm like spitting it out. I feel like the bubbles, the spit bubbles on my tongue of the ash, and it's burning. And I'm like, oh, get it away. Oh. And this is going on for quite some time, and then I'm like, I come out of it, and then I kind of intuitively look around, and I'm not in the Maloka anymore. I'm in the Maloka, but it's not the Maloka anymore.
Mm.
It's some kind of space. And I'm like, oh, I grab the purge bucket, I put it there, and I'm like, oh, am I going to be sick? Because I'm becoming the observer now.
Mm.
I'm not in my body. I'm just observing. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be sick. And I lay back down, and then I go through it again. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm feeling pain keep coming up here, and I'm pushing on my own stomach, and I come out. I go to puke in the bucket, and it's trying to pull the vomit out of here and put it in there, and it's just I'm spitting in there, and it's just this deep black hole of color, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like looking off the edge of a building, a
Mm.
really high skyscraper. I'm like, oh my god, that's intense. And then I come back out and go back straight into the surgery again. And I'm like, oh, it's going on for ages.
What's more intense, the bucket or the surgery?
Yeah. Well, at one point, I remember like feeling the floor, like, okay, the floor still exists, but I'm not connected to like, I'm not in the world anymore. I'm in
Yeah.
this, and then suddenly I like, this has been going on for some time. Like, it must have been, felt like ages, maybe hours. I'm like, oh, I come out of it, and then suddenly I'm panicking. I'm like, why am I panicking? I'm trying to throw up, but I can't throw up. And then my hands, like, they're on their own. They just go off to the side. They're clambering over everything, and I'm like, what is it? What am I looking for? And I don't know. I haven't got a clue. And then I grab my bag, and it's just energy now. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just this ball of energy, and I unzip it. And I stick my hand in. I'm looking for something, but I don't know what I'm looking for. And then my hand comes out, and I can feel the panic in my body. It's like, oh shit, shit. And then I find my water bottle next to me, and it's like, oh, I'm looking for water. It's like shaking, and I'm like, take a little bit of water, and then I'm like spitting it out. And I know that I'm not allowed to. I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm not drinking it. And then suddenly I go, and like I hear the, when you like get an empty water bottle and there's nothing in there to suck up.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like a near 1 litre bottle of water, and I've just engulfed it. And I'm like, oh, I need to be sick, and I'm trying to puke it back out. And I'm like, and then I'm thinking in my head like, we shouldn't have water. We're not allowed water. Why have I done that? Because you're not allowed water after 4 o'clock.
Mhm.
So you have to be empty, like no food after 3, no water after 4. And
Chugged a litre.
I've just chugged a litre, bro. I'm like, what have I done? And now I can start seeing why people should be like kept
Yeah.
under wraps or like observation during this, because I believed I need to do that, and I drank it, and then I couldn't have any more. My mouth was so dry, and this fag ash is there, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what am I trying to say? And it's like, water, water. And like the facilitator comes over, and he's like, Adam, what's going on? And he's so calm, he's so
Mm.
collected, and he's like, what's happening? I said, oh, I need water. I'm panicking. I need water. And he's like, why do you need water? I'm like, I need to purge. I need to get it out of me. And he's there like, and he's leaned into my energy field, and I just see him like anime hair, like black hair like this, and he's in my energy space, and I can just see like the sketch. Everything's like a sketch, and he's there, and he's saying, I'll get you some more water. And I'm like, oh, okay, good, good, good. He's like, but maybe you can ask the medicine to purge in a different way. And then my body kind of goes, oh yeah, okay. Lays back down, boom, back in the surgery. And like I suddenly see the cleaning again. I'm getting absolutely rinsed. Like my arms getting pulled up, and like I've got like RSI in my hands from the. I noticed it when I did the plastering. Like it really hurts. And then like I saw him pulling it out, like the tendons of this, and it's pulling everything out of me. And then it's going back into the smoke. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, we're back here. And it went on for hours, man, absolute hours. And then like I'm puking some more, and I'm sitting and I'm like, oh, this is horrendous. But in my head, I'm like, it's okay, we're going through it. And then suddenly the thumb's going in my mouth and I'm a baby. And I'm like, oh my God. And then like things are coming out my teeth. And I'm like, physically, I'm doing this. And my hand goes down my mouth, pulls something out, throws it away. And I'm like, oh, it's super intense, super, super intense. And it goes on for ages. And then I hear
Which signals 30 minutes.
30 minutes, bro. And I'm there like,
oh my God.
there's this connection in my head that I thought I'd just been gone. Like I didn't think I was coming back. And then suddenly I hear the signal for 30 minutes and I'm like, you're joking me. You are kidding me. Like I've never experienced time dilation like that. And it was insane. And then I start hearing the Icaros and I'm back in their spirit dimension. I thought maybe this is the way they see the spirit world. It's beautiful. It's geometry going everywhere, lights, colors, shapes, figures, 3D realms, like temples. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And it slowly starts to ease off and the Icaros come in. But the Icaros, they feel so different. And they said that this is like a closing ceremony, so it shouldn't be as intense. But I was like, that was the most intense thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And then she lets me out, like I can tell it's like Mother Ayahuasca. She's let me out of this realm, and I'm laying there. I go through all these different memories. It's like a slideshow of my life. I can only imagine, like it's like when you're when people say they've had a near-death experience, and they see life flash before their eyes. I was going through all these memories and stuff, some that I didn't even remember, and I was like, wow, it's incredible. And then she was like, you need to forgive yourself. And I was like, what? She was like, then it brings up a memory of this when I was a kid. I was like, must have been 6, 7. We used to have like a little kitten, and we used to let it run out the front door, and we used to leave it because it didn't go very far. It just ran out the front door in the front garden, which didn't have any fences or anything. And we'd let it out, and then we'd let it back in. And there was one time I'd let it out and then shut the door, and then we had a knock on the door, and someone said, a dog's just got your kitten. And it was such a nice kitten, such a lovely, harmless, beautiful thing. And it was my fault, and it come in, and it was like now crawling, like, and it had been ripped, not ripped apart, but like disabled. Had to take it to the vet, put it down, and she was like, "You didn't know, you were a child. You need to forgive yourself." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And like it hit me hard. I was crying. I was like, oh, "Okay." I didn't realize I was carrying that burden. And she was like, "You need to forgive yourself, forgive yourself, forgive yourself for everything." I was like, "Okay."
So I thought that was one like very small example that allows the rest of your body to, or lets your mind know that you don't have to go through every single thing and forgive. That was just like one signaling story, memory that you forgive, and that was almost like a forgive all story.
Yeah,
It seems.
it seemed like that was maybe the time, because I don't remember too much about my childhood. It's kind of like blurry, and they say that it does that to protect you. Your mind like covers things, and that must have been for me like maybe a traumatic experience that I'd not realised was such a traumatic experience, but maybe where blame started to be for myself. Maybe, I'm not sure, but then the message was just forgive yourself for everything. Like, you're too hard on yourself. And she was like, you work so hard, and you've got so much good intention that, and you're so hard on yourself. And I was like, and in my head I'm like, I'm So I'm hard on myself. And I just want to be like the best I can be. And I think all the time when you're trying to be this like top all the time, the little things really like, I can't believe I did that. I messed up. I've got to be better next time. How do I make sure I'm better? And I think that was one of the main learnings from there. And then she was like, my body gets taken over again, but I'm still in our world, but I'm closing my eyes. And she's like, we're going to learn some lessons tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. I've been in the spirit world for fucking hours and it's only been 30 minutes. So what we learning type of thing. And she grabs my hand. She's like, I say grabs, but my hand just moves across. And she said, you think too much. I was like, okay. She's like, that's your problem. You think too much. And I was like, all right. She was like, you don't think enough with this. And the physical hand movement, she's like, you think with this. And she was like, throw it away. It's bad. Think with this. This is the thing you listen to. And I was
So you're
like,
pointing from your heart
yeah.
and saying, think towards that, just for if people listening on audio.
Mm.
And then for you're saying, don't think with your head, think with your heart.
That's it. She was saying to me, you need to pause. And she put my hand in front of my chest, like upright to the ceiling. She was like, you need to pause. And she grabs my hand and puts it to my head and flicks it off and says, you need to stop thinking. And she, again, the hand starts tapping on my heart. She says, you need to think with this. This is the thing you need to think with. She was like, all of your decisions, and all the hand movements are going with it, all of your decisions need to come from the heart. And I was like, okay, interesting. And she was like, anytime you make a decision going forward from today, you need to pause, you to not think, and you need to think from the heart. And we're going to learn this tonight. And she made me go through so many different scenarios. And she told me to pause, not think, and think with the heart. And at one point, I was like, oh, do I need more ayahuasca? Because I'd felt like I just had this crazy visual thing. And then I was out of it. But I was still communicating with her. And I was like, do I need more ayahuasca? She laughed and she was like, you think too much. And she was like, pause, stop thinking. What? She's like, Adam, what does your heart say? And I was like, I don't need any more. Like, I'm good. She was like, she went like this. She got my hand and put it into a thumb motion and was like, great, you're learning. And I was like, cool. And then I was in 2021 when I started running my business. I had a real bout of what I can only describe was depression, because I'd just come out of a job. I pulled the blanket out from under me. I didn't build my business first and then leave the job. I just quit my job and was like, I'm going to figure this out. And started with my social media agency. I had one client to my name. And I was like, cool, I'm going to have to do this. And my outgoings severely outweighed my incomings. And I can only describe it was like depression. Like every day it was so tough to wake up and be like, oh. And I asked her about it. It's like, why do I feel so much depression? And she was like, she grabbed my head again. And she was like, because you think with this. Like, and she's like shouting at me now. And she's like, this is not your friend. And she kept grabbing it and throwing it away. And she was like, you need to think with your heart. And she said, when you have a disconnect between your heart and your head, that is the thing that causes you pain. That's what causes you anxiety. That's what causes you depression. It's when you're thinking, not feeling. And I was like, okay. She was like, so everything you do now, you stop, you don't think, and you think with the heart. And I was like, okay. And that was the main lesson she gave me from that session, was make all of your decisions with the heart. And then life becomes easy because you just ask yourself. And I've done that since I've come back, is if anything approaches me and I need to think about it, it's like, well, what decision do I need to make? What does the heart say? And start living life essentially almost on easy mode because you don't need to think about it.
How has that process been, integrating this when you come back?
Super hard. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be, because you've just come from an experience where you've been opened up, like surgically opened spiritually and emotionally. And then you have to come back to your own world where you've got so many old pathways, but you're now seeing it with new eyes. And in my fourth ceremony, she even said, she like pointed at my eyes and was like, you are going to see the world with new eyes. And you do. You see everything from a completely different perspective now. And it's not a negative filter that is put over you, but it's like you see the reality now of everything. And we take life too seriously. We get in our own little bubble in our world and we think this is the way it is. And we tell ourselves a story that doesn't really exist. Like, the world exists, but we create a narrative that doesn't, but it does for us. It's our tale, and I'm now seeing everything from that lens. So I did find one of my experiences when I got back. It was like a week after we went to a pantomime with my nieces and nephews. And it was about a 3-hour stint, and then afterwards we go back to my brother's house, and one of the kids starts screaming, and then it was like sound hurt me. And I was like, what the heck? And the TV, it hurt me, like, and the kids laughing, it hurt me. And I went upstairs, I tried to get away from it, and every noise I was hearing was painful. I was
Mm.
like, oh, okay. And then the door closing, it felt like someone punched me in the face. I was like, this must be what it's like for somebody that is neurodivergent. It's like getting overstimulated by sound. And now I start to see it. I'm like, fuck, this is a lot. So I had to get home and be silent and just meditate and just like stay away from electronics and distraction, or because it was just too intense. So from what I understand, integration can last anywhere from like 30 days to another 12 months. So for me, I'm still going and navigating that pathway and still trying to not get back into old pathways. Like my mind has become so quiet at points, but now I'm trying to get back into work. That chatter starts happening again, but you don't realize how much chatter is in there until it's silent. I think that's
Do you feel lighter?
Definitely feel lighter. I think at this point in time, I'm again, like I was waiting for ayahuasca, I'm waiting for the life chapter change with moving to Canada. And I'm looking forward to like shedding, like a snake. I'm looking forward to shedding my story in the UK. I'm looking
It's like
forward.
your existing identity.
Yeah.
Because it's like same with like a brand of a business, right? The brand is only what others actually perceive it. Like you don't get to choose what your brand is in some ways and your identity. It's often what others around you and your environment tells you your identity is. And I feel like when you're moving a new country, you can reinvent your identity because there's no one's got any pre-existing expectations of who you are.
Yeah. So for me, getting away from my current ridges, there was a really good explanation of psychedelics from Michael Pollan, I think his name was. It was on the Diary of a CEO, and he said that your life is like a mountain with snow on it, and you slide down the ridges. You slide down the mountain and you create ridges, and they become very solid, which are your experiences in life and how you interact with everything. And after years and years and years, when you ski down the mountain, you're in the ridges, and psychedelics is like a blizzard recovering the mountain, and you can neuroplasticity. You can remake your
You can
pathways.
ski down wherever you want on the
You can
mountain.
ski
Yeah,
wherever you want, and
I've
that's
heard that same analogy.
a
Metaphor.
beautiful analogy, because I think right now in my Adam in the UK, with I've gone through a lot of experience there, growing up, having a job, building a business, going through all of these different things that bring their own sets of emotions and experiences, and it's all there. So the ridges exist there. So although the blizzard's gone over, these patterns still try and emerge or re-show themselves. And I just want to move away from it and start fresh, because there is so much value I know that I can bring to people in the world that having a reset is the right move right now, I think.
Are there any closing thoughts that you want to share with people of this experience?
I would say that if ayahuasca is something that you think you might be interested in, or on the reverse, if you've never heard of it and you're debating, how do I figure stuff out, and I feel like things that I'm trying, like counseling, manifestation, or lots of different avenues, if that doesn't work for you, then this story should give you that insight. And I hope that by the end of it, you just see things through a different lens, as I have from going through that experience.
And I suppose, what's your plan going forward now? You're moving to Canada, and it sounds like a lot of the, not the initial decision, but it sounds like a lot of the intention going forward with Canada has been driven by this experience. So what do you think the next kind of 6 to 12 months looks like for you?
The next 6 to 12 months are going to be, for me, Adam 2.0. Although I'm probably on version 7 of myself right now, it will be completely fresh. This is the person that I know that I can and will be, and that is what I will embody. I know that I've already had some successful business ventures, but this next one, I feel like all of the other business ventures were training grounds for this next one. So I think because of the ayahuasca experience, she told me I need to document everything that I go through, to share it with others, to inspire them. So if you find me and you start watching my content, it is for you. It is for you if you need it, because you might not be at a point you do need it. Maybe you are. Maybe you're feeling lost. Maybe you're feeling like you need something more. Then hopefully it will give you some insight to what you need, or may it be a stepping stone on your journey.
It's really nice. And thank you for sharing your story as well. I know the ayahuasca, psychedelics, entities, beings, all these things can be difficult to talk about because there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of worries, justified in many cases, around this. And I think it's really important that people feel safe to talk about this thing that is a plant medicine and has been used for thousands of years and is arguably a lot better than a lot of the things that people consume on a day-to-day life. Alcohol, for example. Obviously I do that as well, but like, I think it's nice that you're willing to share this story, and I hope others learn from it, and I wish you the best for your trip in Canada and whatever the next couple of years look like for you.
Yeah, I hope that it is full of joy and learnings, and I'm going to document it so that we can look back and see what happened.
And where can people watch this then?
So be on my personal YouTube, Adam Prioletti.
Which is probably where they're watching this, so they probably already know
it. This is where I will be posting it, and part of me hopes it's like one of those videos that doesn't immediately pop, but over time people will look for it, as in they look for the ayahuasca experience, and they find this, and it gives them the insight that they needed, which I needed before, and I had to scour YouTube to find the right gems. So I'm hoping that this is the thing they find and go, this is the thing I needed. Even if it just helps someone nudge them in the right direction. The purpose for me now in life is to provide as much value as possible to try and help people out of their situation if they need it.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.